What's going on, everybody? This is Gary B. Jr., and today I'm going to show you how to make this in FreeShow profiles. Let's get into it. So, in order to get your profile set up in FreeShow, the first thing you need to do is go to your settings. And once you get to the settings option, you're going to go on the left side and select profiles. And here you're going to be greeted with an admin option that's there by default, and then you'll be able to select a new profile down at the bottom. I've already selected a couple different ones. I've got one that's called Midweek Volunteer and another called Sunday Volunteer. You can rename these by right clicking as needed, but if I hit new profile, it'll pop up and you just type in the new name like so, and it'll be listed there. And so for our new profile, I'm going to walk you through what it looks like to make the adjustments for this profile. So the first thing you need to see or understand is you can set global changes to this, right? So the global change would be changing the ability to read only or read and write. Okay. And that's for projects. Same way for shows, overlays, templates, and stage. But if you pay close attention, you'll see on the right side, there is a drop down arrow that allows you to pick individual projects. Okay. So you can say, our project categories. And so, Free Show Friday is a project list I've got, Free Show Simplified and Young Men. These are all different project categories I've got. I can make those invisible completely to the user. So I can make all these invisible. And the only thing that this user will be able to see is Free Show Friday. Okay. And they'll be able to edit it if they need to. But if I want them to simply be able to read it, which is going to be the case for some of your volunteers, I wouldn't say make that be the locked in specific case for everyone. But more importantly, you can lock out certain categories of projects so they can only see the projects that are needed for their type of meeting or service that they're volunteering for. Same way for shows. If you hit the drop down arrow, you're going to get a list of the categories for your shows, and you can literally make them invisible, the ones you don't want to be seen. So let's say this is a Sunday worship volunteer. I'm going to make that one be readable. And the rest of these, that one I don't even want it to be seen. Planning Center, we'll make that one be readable. Pastor's Notes, viewable. Men's Teaching, Free Show Friday, no. Chums, yes. We want that readable. Songs, yes. Presentations, yes. And then this one, no. And training test, no. And now they can edit Sunday worship, anything in that category, and then they can also see the songs and chums and planning center and pastor's notes. And then we've got the overlays, same way. You will be able to hit the arrow to the right and you'll be able to see your different categories for your overlays, and the same way for your templates. All right. And if you go down to the very bottom, you also have options to adjust the different stage layouts that you've got and the settings, to where certain settings can be visible while others can be invisible. So you can make it to where they can't change, for example, the profiles. They won't even be able to see that, for example. And then for files, they don't need to necessarily see that maybe. And connections, they can keep that to be visible. And styles, let's see here, styles, they don't need to change that. Outputs, they can change that as needed. Actually, we'll keep the styles there available as well, but we don't want them to be able to change the theme or the other content, right? Now, in this situation, you can make it to where that's the case. Now, I'm going to turn on to where they can actually see the profiles, at least for now. And then to activate this, you got to go all the way to the top and select the option that says set as active. And when you do that and you go back to your show, you're able to go into your projects. And remember, what we selected was the only thing visible for them on projects were the Free Show Friday folder. And so now we can see the Free Show Friday folder, but none of my other folders. All right. And the same way for any of the media or the shows or things like that that we selected, it is all exclusively there to be visible. And then there's certain settings we changed to where they can't see those here either. And so we said they can see general and outputs and styles. Um, but there's other options like files that they cannot change and or see. Now, if we want to make it to where the profiles is something that they cannot see, we can go into our show And actually, I'm going to close this out. Well, actually, let's go back. We can go into profiles, and I'm going to go back as admin. So I'm going to go to profiles and go to admin and set that as active. Then go to your new profile. We can edit this, and I'm going to go all the way down and see. If I go to profiles and I make it to where you can't see the profiles, here's what happens. All right. So, oh, I didn't change it back. So I got to make that profile active, right? So I got to set it as the active profile. And now in the settings, they can see connections, they can see styles, outputs, and general, but there's no way for them to change their particular profile. All right. So in order to fix that or to make that different, you have to completely close the program, as far as I know. And then when you open it back up, you'll be greeted with your screen to pick your profile. All right. And right now it shows you the one that's active. If I were to, well, it's got this one highlighted in green. And this one's kind of got like a little, like a light purple look to it. This one's kind of beige or white. And I can go in as admin. And that's that. All right. So they're kind of color coded for the user to pick theirs that it represents the color that they may be used to. And you can literally change their access to read and write along with their visibility of access to certain things. And so remember, if you go to it, you can make it to where there are, for example, with the templates, you can set it to where there's no access to the templates, read access only, and write. But for everything else, you can go in and you can customize individually in order to see it. There's no global none setting on the others. You can make them have none based on the categories though, in the same way for the shows and the projects. So this is something that is a first step into profiles. This is version 1.4.8 in FreeShow. I'm sure that things will progress and get different. I know people are already asking questions about their having passwords and things like that. But the reality is this is a program used by volunteers. And if someone needs access to something, having it being password protected is not the most important thing. It's really about making sure that your volunteers are comfortable knowing that they're not going to mess something up that they should not be able to mess up or accidentally do something that they don't want to accidentally do. And so this is a really, really good way to kind of safeguard the program from uh, losing items and things like that. So you can set it to where it can read only. And so if we say for shows, if we set a universal option for read the shows only under our, this is our Sunday volunteer. Let's go to new profile. We say read only for shows, read only for overlays. And let's see, we'll do read only for templates and let's see what that does. And now I'm gonna go to the top and set it as active. So we did shows, overlays, and templates as read only. Setting the new profile as active. We go back out to our shows and I go to templates. You can see there, we can get into our templates and it shows them. And I could, let's see if I can go to a show. I've got songs here and let's put this particular song up. All right. And I go to templates. Let's see if we can add a template, even though it's set to read only. All right. So right now, this show is a song. So let's see what template I've got for it. All right. So right now it's set to the default. Let's see if we can change it to be default bold. And it does allow them to select it. All right. Now, if I right click, it gives me a preview, but I cannot edit that particular template. All right. And so if we go back to the show, I can do new project and I can drag that show in and it shows up there and it is bold and big. I can drag in another song as needed. I can go here and this one is set to a different template. So I can go here. I can make it be bold and yellow. So I can adjust that. I can go to the media. I can add in a background to it if I want to. And it shows up there as well. All right. Now, when I put that in, it shows that background. It's completely there, which is perfect. And your volunteer isn't able to let's go back to the show. Actually, let's see if I can go here to edit. And I try to click on the show, it doesn't even give me an option to make changes to it. Okay, so I can't click anywhere in here and change anything in the show. That's all completely locked down. And so they can go into the edit tab, but it doesn't give them an option to make a new slide. They can see this and they can't even rearrange it. There's no dragging and dropping or anything like that with this process. And so your volunteers will be safeguarded. Now, I was able to change the backdrop to the show. Um, all right, so I'm back in as an admin. So I ran into an issue when I was in Beautiful Savior. I had put all these different pieces in and I could not remove this one because I did not see the highlight hover over option. So that's something to keep in mind. But I can right click now and I can remove or delete this slide from the show. And the same way with this one, I can delete this slide from the show. All right, so that is the first glance or first look at the profiles in FreeShow, which is a really cool feature. Make sure to check it out and understand the parameters and play around with it and act like a volunteer. Like I said, see what it feels like for you and then understanding what that experience will be like for your volunteers. Make sure they're there to probably test it out and make sure they're comfortable with it, along with you being comfortable with it as well with the setup and the settings to make sure you know exactly what they need to do and what they need week to week or meeting to meeting, however often they need to run that show. That option is in the settings in the upper right and go over to the left under profiles. And you can make and add different profiles as needed. You might make one per the type of service you have. Maybe you make them with the individual's names on it because maybe there's a different individual each week. So you might name these. So in this, instead of this being new profile, we might name this one Jeff. And then this one might be Carol. And then this one might be Tim. All right. And so when you go back in, I'm going to close FreeShow out and open it back up. When you go in, they'll just go in and they'll just select their name and it's customized just for them to select and they know exactly what to expect when they go in for themselves. Now, this is helpful if you know you got a pretty tight knit group, makes a lot of sense. However, if you got a larger group, I would probably consider categorizing it by the type of service that that volunteer is for, right? So anybody can step in and say, okay, I'm the Sunday volunteer. Let me go ahead and pick Sunday. All right. And then the admin is always there and available currently so that you can always go in and make any adjustments and changes as needed. But you can't be logged into multiple ones at the same time. All right. The admin can go in and make adjustments. If you go up to the settings again, you can make adjustments to all of the different profiles as needed by selecting the profile and then going through and seeing what the settings were. And then you can set it to active to test it out like I just did earlier and see what that would feel like along with all the different settings and things like that. Because for most of your volunteers, you may not need access to any of the settings, right? So you can turn all those off and they won't be able to really do anything, but you may need them to have access to edit overlays, to edit shows as needed, and possibly edit templates. The likelihood of them editing a template is very low. So I would just say that can be kept at read only. The stage layouts, probably pretty unlikely they'll need to change that. But it will be based on those who are going to be on stage. So if you all have a routine where you're asking the speaker what they want to see, if it's a new guest speaker or something like that, then yes, you want to keep it at read. I'm sorry, at write, but you can also customize it to say, okay, the speaker stage they can write on, but everything else. So if we do read as this, and then we make the speaker stage be something they can write on, you could do that, but it doesn't let you change it. If you select the global, it doesn't allow you to make any changes to any individual. So you would have to manually go in and say, these are read, and that speaker stage would be remaining at write. All right. So that global will lock down everything to read. And then if you keep it at write, then you can adjust to any option to read and or be completely, none, not visible at all. All right. And so that's just something to consider as you're making those changes in the profile. Please leave a note in the comments section about questions you might have related to this new feature. What are some things you would like to see differently? Or what are some things that you've experienced in trying to use it that you really like about it in terms of how was it a game changer in keeping your setup simple to where now you've got peace of mind that none of these things are going to be interfered with because you've disabled them from even being seen by your volunteers. But I really think it can have the potential to simplify the workflow for ministries that are looking to engage with their volunteers, and the volunteers having some confidence to know they're not going to mess anything up, which is a big deal. All right. So till next time, I'm Gary B. Jr., your media consultant. Have a great rest of the day. Thank you for watching this video. I really hope it helped you in a major way. Now, at this point, most people would ask you to like and subscribe, and I think that's great, but my goal is a little bit different. My goal is to empower as many people as possible all over the globe. And there's one way that you can really help me do that, and that is to leave a comment below with a question, a thought, how this video may have helped you, or things that were left out that you still have questions about, and to share this video with someone just like you, someone who is looking for answers, someone who's curious and wants to grow. With your help, I believe we can build a community of people that want to grow together. So until next time, God bless.